For the love of games!
Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Steve from pixelattack.net and welcome to our video of Hand of Fate. This is a newly released deck building game. It came out on February 17th, 2015, and the game it's really interesting. It combines a bunch of different genres together in a way that I have not really seen before. It is one part deck building game. It's a card game, basically, one part action RPG, and then it is all wrapped up in a roguelike package, meaning that each time you play the game, the adventures are different. It's very sort of customizable and randomly generated, almost endless in a way, as like a lot of roguelikes are. So let's jump right into the game. Now, right off the bat, the presentation for this game is super unique to me. You are basically sitting down and playing a card game with this other player across from us. He's the dealer, he's the narrator, and he's also kind of our nemesis. He's the person who we will eventually challenge. But before we can do that in the story mode, we have to work our way up to him. And we do that by taking down these face cards. Each card here, so you can see like this is the Jack of Skulls. Whoops, that's not what I meant to press. We got the Jack of Dust. By taking down these face cards, which are basically boss battles, and their own little mini campaigns, these mini little dungeon runs that you do, you eventually will work your way up to being able to take on that guy. So we're gonna jump right into this here. This is the King of Dust. He's the next guy I'm gonna take down. Don't worry too much about these things like curses and challenges. It'll all kind of fall into place a little bit later on. So we'll jump into the deck builder here. Now I'm going to use the recommended equipment and encounter deck just for this video. But of course, the game is very customizable, just like Hearthstone, just like any card, deck building game or any sort of strategy card game. There is quite a bit of depth to it if you really want to take the time. This game, so far, the recommended decks have played very well for me. I have experimented with my own decks and had success as well, but it's good to know that if you're someone who just wants to play the game and not pore over cards, that this game will cater to that as well. So, each of these, the game is kind of divided up into these mini campaigns that you go on, and by doing that you build a deck that you take into these campaigns with you, and this deck is comprised of two different things. First is equipment. Equipment are items that are basically the loot that you'll find in your action RPG section of the game, and so you can see here we have things like axes, maces, swords, there's some shields, and then there's some artifacts. And down here at the bottom, this is everything I'm gonna bring with me. So here's Frostfang. It's a sword, it does 25 damage. Each hit slows the target with cold. Press 1 to shoot a cone of ice. That's a cool card, I'll bring that along with me. New cards, I don't know what they do until I've used them in the game. So I'm just gonna back out of this screen. So there's the equipment. Those are things that you're going to find on the dungeon and hopefully will help you build your character. It's worth noting that unlike a game like Diablo where you are sort of always building upwards, each time you start a new campaign in this, so each time you go after a new face card, your hero starts from square one, and so you stack the deck full of items that you will want him to have access to, but then you're still reliant on actually drawing these items. Which, you could just be really unlucky and not draw the items you need at the right time. The other thing are encounter cards. These are the things that you will, as you sort of work your way through these dungeons, you will run into these cards, and you stack the deck full of these cards with hopes that they will give you certain rewards. So for example, where is he? There is a specific encounter card that is somewhat useful, especially if you can find it early on, Mr. Lionel. Mr. Lionel is a card that if I discover him, he gives me a choice, and depending on what answer I choose, he will give me one of 3 items. So having a card like this and falling on it, I know what the outcome is. It's not like I'm sort of guessing blindly, but I'm putting him in the deck because I know that depending on what maybe I need some healing, maybe I need an item like a shield really badly, I can answer and hopefully he'll give me what I need. So you stack the deck full of these encounters to sort of help you through the journey. So now that our deck is built, we're gonna start the game.
In these lands, the King of Dust
So now that I have my deck built, the dealer adds his own cards to the deck, and these cards are mostly negative in nature. There's also some merchant cards that he'll add to the deck, which will allow me to buy items or anything that I might need on my travels. And he's laying out the cards. He does this in every single campaign. It's sort of ceremonious. You got to get into the flow here.
You face the first of my kings.
All right. So this is what I was talking about. I love the presentation of this game. I love that I feel like I'm sitting down and actually playing a card game. It's pretty fantastic. So right here, what we see is a series of cards. And these cards basically are laid out as if they were rooms in a dungeon. If you can imagine like old Legend of Zelda dungeons where each room was sort of connected and you could only travel to a room that was adjacent to another room, it's the exact same thing. So this token represents me. I click on a card, I move forward. Ha, there's Mr. Lionel. I honestly, wow, sometimes things work out. So this is perfect. This will reinforce what I was talking about perfectly. So each card has a little bit of a narrative bit to it. After you're familiar with the card, you'll just skip it because you know what it means. But while enjoying your evening meal at a local tavern, a strange old man takes a seat next to yours. He taps your shoulder quite painfully with his wooden staff to get your attention, and you notice that he appears to be a goblin, poorly disguised as a human. His wizened face grins at you with a hint of madness. My name is Mr. Lionel. If you give me what I need, boy, I will conjure up my heart's desire, his heart's desire, your heart's desire, with this wizarding wand of my own creation. So here I have some options. I can ask him what he needs, I can ignore the goblin, I can give him 20 gold. I always go with give him the bread from your plate. Starting off, this is a great option because he is going to let me draw an equipment card. Oh. That's odd. I guess the answer, wow, I really thought that they did the same thing every time. I guess this time he let me skip cards, which is very interesting. Okay, one day in a shady, apparently I don't know everything about this game. I've chosen that same answer like 3 or 4 times and I always got the same outcome. I guess it's random. One day in a shady forest, you encounter an elf maiden. She stops to greet you. I am Marith of the Forest Folk. My people have long helped the mortals of this realm. Oh, I forgot to do a voice. What boon would you ask of me? There we go. So I'm gonna ask for some. Gold. All right. So now I draw 3 gold gain cards, and these are just randomly generated cards.
I'm sure you are grateful for that.
There we go. So 25 gold, 25 gold, 40 gold. Nice. That's a really good draw. 90 gold is quite a bit to start off with. All right, and she gives me a little bit of advice. Nice. I'm gonna go back here. A maze of traps. So here's a trap card. I can enter this cave. So this is a great example of exactly what an encounter is. So here I have the choice. I'm gonna enter this cave because at the end of it, there's going to be some riches awaiting me. So this is sort of a good primer for what exactly the action RPG element of this game is, but there's not gonna be any enemies. But once you enter an encounter, be it a maze of traps or a combat encounter, this is what happens. You enter the game, the cards are laid out, and you are given your equipment that you have currently equipped. So I have my axe and my shield. So I can move around. It's just, WASD movement, and I can also press the spacebar to do dodges, which is very necessary in this dungeon. Oh, geez. Okay, I'm doing so good. I'm doing okay. Took a little bit of damage. So this is just a pretty rudimentary, trap fest. You're just working your way through these areas. All right. These areas do tend to scale in difficulty. The ones that I was doing earlier on were very easy. The ones, oh geez, that was close. The ones I'm doing now are, this one is much more difficult than the one I initially started off with. Oh geez, he got me. All right, I took a bit of damage, but I'm gonna be okay. And of course, that curse you saw, I lost some gold because I lost some health. All right, having survived the traps, you loot the chest. The dealer draws you 3 gain cards. All right, so I can draw 1 equipment card. Damocles. During combat, press 2 to throw knives in 8 cardinal directions. There we go. Armory, draw 2, select 1 to keep. That's awesome. All right, let's see what we got here. Fortitude's Breath and Scorching Zeal. So I'm gonna choose one of these cards to keep. Let's do Scorching Zeal.
Fire in its multitudinous form.
All right, equipment with this trait burns with the flame of the ancients, doing extra fire damage. However, lava golems will shrug off fire attacks with ease. So that'll give you a hint. you'll want to start building your decks for specific instances. If I'm doing something where I'm going to be running into lava golems, maybe I don't want to even put a Scorching Zeal in my deck because it could just end up being a bunk card that ends up doing more harm than good. So I'm gonna equip it. I don't know if there's lava golems. Oh, I get another equipment card. Fleet Cuffs, increase the hero's movement speed. Excellent. There we go. All right, and there, that encounter is done. Now I'm gonna jump into the inventory here for a second, just to give you an idea. So, I mean, this looks just kind of like a standard ARPG, and the ARPG elements to it are very standard. You have weapons, some of them do elemental damage. Up here you can see, this is our blessings and curses. So that's that compensation curse, which causes me to drain gold. Let's see here, we got my shield. Now shields are really important. You want to get a shield as soon as possible because shields allow you to counter attacks and reflect attacks. I can press Q, it makes combat, at points it almost makes the combat a cakewalk. So then we have artifacts, my gloves, my weapon. That's the basic gist of it. The one thing I forgot to mention is moving a space costs food, but you also gain 5 health. So once your food runs out, it is game over. So you need to be managing your food. Right now I'm at 4 food, that's okay. So cave mouth, this will move me to the next area. So exit the cave. I embark on the next leg of my adventure. So here we have a whole new arrangement of cards. Let's go here. Traveling Tinka. All right, so I can approach the shop. I have a decent amount of gold, so I'll probably buy some food just because I'm running low, and I don't know if food's going to be appearing soon. And let's just skip ahead. Okay, so there we go. So buy items. Let's see what he's got for sale. Berserker armor. That's pretty cool. Helm of reflection. Upon reflecting a projectile, this helm creates a small force explosion. Interesting. Helm imbues the wearer with a greater movement speed. During combat, every hit you sustain increases your speed and weapon strength. After every third combat, the player receives 20 health. That one's actually, I'm gonna buy that just because it's cheap. And I'm gonna buy this armor as well. And I'll equip that. And let's buy some food. Just because I need it. There we go. Got lots of food. Now we're in pretty good shape actually. I'm gonna see if I can sell some items off. So I no longer need my axe. I think, no. So the one thing I will say, this game, it's an indie game. It's made in Unity and it does tend to be buggy. So for example, I had some bugs here where after looking at items to buy, I went to sell items and it kept showing me the same items to buy. Like it would not go to the sell window. It just kept showing me the buy window. Even though I was clicking on sell items, I had that bug. I've had all sorts of other little bugs. The UI needs a lot of work. It's hard to work with and it doesn't do a great job of explaining to you sort of the nuances of it. For example, I did not realize until quite some time that tab was the tab key was basically your B button. It was what you could use to cancel out of windows. And if you didn't know that, down here is where the back option would appear, and it just felt like a lot of movement to be moving my mouse around, and then if I had to go back, I had to go down here and click. The game, it loans itself really well to just wanting to use a mouse, but at times it's just done really poorly. There's a lot of clicks to get anything done. There's lots of times where, once you're familiar with the game and the charm has sort of worn off a little bit, you'll sometimes take its time with the way that it draws cards. Even the loading screens are a bit long, considering what they're showing you. So I can skip this. All right, so here's my character. This is a combat scenario. Oh geez, I just got hit by a trap. There's a lot of traps here. Combat is your basic Batman Arkham Shadow of Mordor combat. You are, oh geez, taking a lot of damage. You are pressing the mouse button to unleash attacks. There we go, I deflected one. I'm taking a lot of damage. It's hard to talk and play at the same time. Anyway, it's your basic, geez. So you're just pressing mouse buttons to do damage. there is a combo meter. You can see the little icons appearing above enemies' heads. Those were them broadcasting their moves. If you don't have a shield, that icon won't appear because you won't be able to counter. Your only way to escape an attack is to dodge roll out of the way. But once you have a shield and you can counter, those icons appear, you press the Q, your character will automatically do a counter move, canceling that enemy's attack on you. And so basically you're just swinging and pressing Q. It's very simple to begin with, but you can see there, like, they got a fair amount of damage. The environments were shooting arrows. It starts off very easy, but quickly it ramped up quite nicely. So while searching the area for anything worth salvaging, you realize that one of your opponents is only pretending to be dead. Oh god, sneak up and kill them. Now here's an example of sort of like a Dungeons and Dragons, oh man, what is that called? It's called the DC, difficulty class, like a check. You're doing a check. So we saw one of these cards is a fail card, the rest are success. There we go. So I drew a success card. That means I achieved what I set out to do. And I get 3 gain cards from that. Some more equipment.
I'm sure you've learned how valuable
5 food, that's great. And 10 health. Okay, that's good. Because I took a lot of damage in that combat. That wasn't... If I was hoping to show off how good I am at this game, I certainly failed. Goblins. Alright, so now we're up against 3 goblins here. Because he drew the 3 of goblins. The other thing that I found a little bit frustrating, and I don't know if maybe I am, there's the potential that maybe I'm just misinterpreting the systems here, but with these goblins specifically, so I'm attacking these goblins, and their only thing is I'm just beating him while he's down. This is hilarious. Alright. So that one's dead. So these guys have my money. They've stolen my money in this encounter. And by attacking them, you can see they are dropping gold that I am then picking up. My only problem is that during this encounter, I have found that when you're attacking the last goblin, it leaves the encounter while there's sometimes still gold on the ground, and you have no way of collecting that gold that you've dropped. So you can see there, right in front of my character, there's gold on the ground. I can't pick that gold up, and from what I can tell, I just lose that gold. I've had it do that with items before. Sometimes the goblins will steal your equipment, and I haven't been able to pick up my equipment even though I killed the goblin and, pretty much beat the encounter. So, like I said, this game isn't perfect. The UI needs work. There's glitches that I've run into, not anything terrible so far, but just ones where you're like, oh, really? Come on. And maybe some poorly designed encounters. Alright, Traveling Mage. I don't really have any gold. I have a lot of food. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to pass this mage on by. A winding trail. Suddenly a tree falls across your path, blocking the way ahead. The dealer draws you 1 monster card, draw 1 monster card. So he's gonna draw 2 monster cards, and these are randomly generated. This will tell you what you're going up against, and then you can kind of make a decision on what you wanna do. So the 3 of dust. Dust are humans. That's sort of the suit that card belongs to. So when you're attacking like the King of Dust, I'm attacking the King of Humans, basically. You can also see here, this denotes how difficult they are. So these humans have been upgraded. They have some abilities that they won't have starting out. And then I'm going up against a 2 of skulls. These are skeletons. So I'm gonna attack the cowardly band for daring to threaten you. So we're gonna jump back and do another combat scenario here. And the loading screens are kind of unfortunately long. I don't know why they're this long, but I think I skipped through them the first few times. It's kind of fun watching this the first few times, the way the cards go and line it out. And you can see my equipment cards landing on my character. And as each one lands, he equips the item. The presentation in this game is quite nice. The graphics are quite nice. For a Unity game, it's looking all good, my friend. So the combat feels a little bit, I don't know, janky. It does not feel nearly as smooth as the Batman Arkham games, or any of the combat systems that it's somewhat trying to emulate. You can see that there is a bit of a combo meter. Oh, I'm gonna show you my cool, yeah, there we go, shooting off my off my dagger ability. There's a combo meter that you can see that sort of ticks up as with each successful hit that I land. The one thing I found with the combat that's kind of weird is sometimes it's hard to tell exactly what your character is capable of. So when I press Q, sometimes my character will teleport a good 6 feet towards the person that he is countering to attack them. Other times he won't do that, and so the combat just, it doesn't feel as smooth, it's not as great, but really it's such a minimal part to the game, and it only occupies a couple of minutes at most. It's kind of easy to overlook that maybe the combat isn't the smoothest experience that it could be. So the Explorer's Helmet, I'm gonna say no. I'm not gonna equip that. Got 5 max health. So my health is jumped right back up. So even though I've dipped pretty low, it's pretty easy to come back from that. So the Dead King's Hall, this is an encounter which would let me, if I want to take these guys on, I can get some extra surprises. Now I'm going to try and take them by surprise. This is a good example of another damage or another check, except for you saw there was huge success and huge failure, and then failure and normal success. So that will, make whatever you draw, I mean, let's just pick one. Huge success, there we go. Suddenly you leap into the fray, taking one of them down before they can even react. So I can choose, I'm gonna go and take these guys out, and then the skulls will be very easy to take down. Huge failure could, mean all sorts of things. I might have to draw like a pain card, and maybe I start the combat with much less health, or all sorts of other sort of failure conditions, or conditions which will, negatively impact me, I guess is a better way of putting that. All right, got all my stuff. These skeletons, oh, we can see there's traps here. They ran through them just fine. I'm just gonna hang back out here because I don't want to run into any of these traps. There we go. So because the combat is randomly generated, this is what I was kind of talking about, where sometimes these combat scenarios are just like pitifully easy. You almost kind of wish that there was a way that you could just play them out without having to actually do them. I mean, they take 5 seconds, so I mean, that's kind of a first world problem.
Sometimes form follows function, and vice versa. In this case, it's
all right, I'm gonna equip this awesome hammer.
You take a guess.
But it's just sort of the nature of the game. But really, like, this idea of building a deck and then having to play against the deck you built with sort of modified cards from the dealer is so unique and original, because it means every time I sit down to play this game, I'm encountering different things. It's really like a true roguelike in that fashion. Now here's something interesting. This is the first time we've encountered this. This is a token card. So if I beat this challenge, if I beat this encounter, I will get this token. It will go into my little dish here. And at the end of this scenario, assuming I beat it, I will get to open these tokens, and it's like cracking open a booster pack, and I will get a whole bunch of new cards. So you really want to collect as many of these tokens as possible. All right, so here we go. We got another huge failure, huge success thing. Oh man, huge failure. Bummer. What's gonna happen? Okay, I get another one. Oh no! Yeah, you see a man who draws his sword only to slowly lower it down into his open mouth and then draw it back out again. Small crowd applauds, turns to you, his hand outstretched. I'm not going to read this just because it's taking a long time. Okay, looks like I didn't get anything negative from that. I just missed my opportunity for that token. So another priest, I'm gonna pass him by because I'm in perfect shape and I don't have gold to buy anything anyway. Treasure chest, here we go.
A treasure chest.
While exploring a dungeon, you see a treasure chest at the end of the hall. The chest may hold great wealth, but the chamber may be trapped. Approach the treasure chest. Okay, this is a good 50-50. Oh boy. Yes, there we go. So what I find so compelling about this game is it feels to me almost like you're playing these 20-minute Dungeons and Dragons campaigns where you're sitting down, you're just kind of banging this thing out. Each time you do this adventure, it's unique, it's different. There's a little bit of skill, there's a little bit of luck. Like it's Hand of Fate is a very solid game. I'm enjoying it quite a lot, and I definitely think at this point in time I would have to recommend it to people, despite the issues I talked about, despite there's elements of it that maybe aren't as polished as they could be. I'm gonna Pry it open. All right, we got another one, but this one's heavily stacked in my favor. But I don't know, I don't trust my luck. Oh my god. That sucks. Okay, I guess I don't get any tokens. Forest escape. All right, so hopefully this is the last leg of the dungeon. Let's see what this looks like.
On this floor, the King of Dust waits for you. He is prepared.
All right, local peasant. While crossing a forest clearing, you meet a peasant woman. Greetings, traveler. The winter has been hard on my family this year. In the forest behind her, you sense movement. Oh, geez. In exchange for some food, I will tell you everything I know about these lands. So I got 10 food. I'll give her 2. The woman takes her food eagerly, passing it to some children who suddenly rush from the forest, hands outstretched. While the children eat, the woman speaks at length of what she has seen and heard recently. Oh, cool. So this will tell me... All right. Now, normally if I was playing this game, I would kind of take my time. I would want to hit up all these cards and see what's going on. In this case, I'm going to beeline it just for the dungeon because this video is running a little bit long and I want to show you what a boss battle looks like. So I don't need the healer. I'm full health. Thank you very kindly. All right, Devil's Choice.
In truth, though, all choices are the Devil's choice. Even the choice.
All right, so now I have to choose who I want to fight. I'm going to choose these guys.
6 bandits.
So the Devil's Choice card is kind of like Bowser from Mario Party, where he will screw you over no matter what. So now I'm fighting 10 of these guys. This will be a good example, hopefully showing off combat one more time. Apologize for the length of this video. All right. So I'm just reflecting here, basically. Combat is, even, I mean, when you're being swarmed by these guys, combat is very easy to manage. What I find makes combat hard is when there are traps in the environment that you need to work around, because they can very easily, you can become crowded and the traps can really make short work of you. In encounters like this, it is just all too easy. You can really just spam the Q button. There is, for counters and for deflects, there is really no punishment for poor timing in this game, which is a shame because it encourages you just to kind of button mash through these encounters, and you can do so just fine. And really, you saw, you know, I maybe took a little bit of damage there, so it's really not something to be.
I'm sure
the combat doesn't require a ton of skill, at least at this level. But I will say that it has ramped up in difficulty nicely. So, you know, considering once I get farther into the game, that could change very quickly. And I equipped Frostfang when I didn't mean to, so I'm going to jump into my inventory before we get into this combat scenario. Oh, do I not have my big hammer anymore? How unfortunate. I'll go with Scorching Zeal. All right, the King of Dust.
Very few are so foolish as to deliver themselves to the king.
All right, so this is the final leg of the adventure. Once I beat him, this little mini dungeon is over. I can move on to the next face card. So the King of Dust also spawns with a 4 of dust, to be expected. So these boss guys are basically, they're just tougher enemies. The one interesting thing about them, I'm just gonna, oh, I can't skip. That's okay. The one interesting thing about these guys is they do have abilities that you can sometimes not avoid. So you can see he's calling down stones from the sky. He'll have melee strikes. He has just buffed everyone. So there you can see his red melee strike. That means I can't counter it. My only course of action is to dodge it. And he just called down stones on himself like an idiot. All right, very easy combat encounter. Oh geez. Oh man, just missed that. I got this guy beat for sure. Oh no. There we go. There we go. Okay, now he's down. I can walk up and grab his card. And there we go. That's it. This is I mean, the video went a little long. For that, I apologize. But this is a 30-minute chunk. This is exactly what you will do in Hand of Fate from start to finish.
That you have defeated the likes of my lesser king.
Yes, I have.
I think you have but proven that I must have.
And there we go. So I earned 1 token from this, which kind of sucks, but I can activate it.
You will need them.
And just like opening a booster pack, I have a bunch of cards here. So you can see these are new equipments. That's the Jack of Scales, it looks like. So that'll be my next boss card. Boom. That's it. And then once that's done, the game goes back to the beginning and I can start and I can choose the next adventure if I want to. I can play endless mode. That is Hand of Fate, everybody. So thank you so much for watching this video. Once again, I apologize that it went a little long, but I'm glad that I got to show you Hand of Fate from start to beginning. I really do. I recommend this game if you're a fan of card games, if you're a fan of even like Hearthstone, the similarities are there. If you like ARPGs, if you just like really unique, interesting games, this one is definitely worth a look. So I highly recommend it. Be sure to check it out. Be sure to check us out at pixelattack.net. You can add us on Twitter at pixelattack. We would love to hear from you. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.